Welcome back to the Future Archive. Today, we examine archived broadcasts from 2026, a year when humanity was still deciding whether to charge admission for breathing. The stories range from the absurd to the overdue, each a thread in the tapestry of our collective hesitation. The first story. Performance art or crime. The Jell-O incident of 2026. A former Olympian was arrested for filling Washington's reflecting pool with 1.2 million liters of raspberry Jell-O, calling it a commentary on the fluidity of national identity. Authorities were torn between prosecution and commissioning a sequel. The pool remained closed for 11 days, during which time a temporary trampoline park was erected on its surface. In hindsight, this was one of the last great public spectacles before the subscription wars made even looking at art a recurring fee. The artist, later hired by a Silicon Valley firm to disrupt their cafeteria, insisted the piece was about impermanence. The Jell-O, meanwhile, was about gelatin. Evidence later suggested an intern had misread the permit application. The pool's reflection was never the same. Neither was the intern. The second story. The console that made parents run. Nintendo's latest retro-inspired console required players to run in place to control their avatars, a feature marketed as both fitness revolution and nostalgia bait. Early adopters reported blisters, improved cardio, and a sudden interest in outdoor activities, specifically escaping their living rooms. This was humanity's favorite strategy in action, solving a problem by creating a new one. The console sold 20 million units before lawsuits began, mostly from parents who realized they were now paying for both the device and the therapy bills. By 2030, the run-to-play model was abandoned in favor of direct neural interfaces. Progress, as they say, was made. The only thing that moved faster than the players was the share price. The third story. GTA 6 and the NPCs that knew us better than we knew ourselves. Rockstar's GTA 6 introduced AI-driven NPCs with such emotional depth that players reported forming genuine attachments. Some even sought relationship advice from virtual characters, leading to a brief but intense cultural moment where therapists lost clients to pixelated gangsters. This was the year AI stopped being a tool and started being a mirror. The game's NPCs were so lifelike that they were later repurposed for customer service roles, where their emotional range was finally appreciated. Safety committees were formed to address the ethical implications, though their primary achievement was the creation of very thorough meeting minutes. The NPCs were the most emotionally intelligent beings in the room being, of course, a server farm. The fourth story. The Ghana Accord, too late but on time. At a landmark conference in Accra, nations adopted a global framework for reparatory justice, addressing the legacies of colonialism and slavery. Critics called it long overdue. Supporters called it a first step. Historians naturally called it both. The accord was a rare moment of accountability in a century defined by the great spreadsheet crisis of 2043, where nations realized their budgets could no longer ignore the past. The framework's implementation would take decades, but it marked the beginning of the end for the era of unexamined history. Mistakes were made, of course. They always are. The past, it turned out, was not going anywhere. Neither were the reparations. The fifth story. The ISS and the slow leak of ambition. Astronauts returned to the International Space Station after an emergency repair of an air leak, an incident that underscored the aging infrastructure's vulnerabilities. Debates reignited about the sustainability of human spaceflight, with some arguing for renewed investment and others for letting the whole endeavor drift into the void. By 2050, the ISS would be a museum, its halls filled with the echoes of what could have been. The leak was fixed, but the question lingered: was humanity's presence in space a triumph of ingenuity or a testament to our refusal to let go? The answer, as with most things, was yes. The station held. The ambition, however, had already escaped. 2026 was a year of contradictions: art as vandalism, exercise as punishment, games as therapy. The past was finally being addressed, just as the future was being outsourced. This has been the Future Archive. The past, as always, is not going anywhere.